What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again, as usual. I do have a couple slides that I want to share with you today, right? As we try to update each other upon the things that are unfolding before our very own eyes, right? Before we get to that, I want to issue a disclaimer, right? A fair use disclaimer for the material, right? The copyrighted material that's going to be shared in this here video. Right, so yeah, without further ado, let's get to it, right? So Italy, Meloni, all of that talk about the new colonialism and stuff. What type of measures? This is what I'm concerned about. What type of measures are you willing to take to counter the so-called Chinese mineral dominance? Of course, this comes. You know what? I'm gonna show you something. Yep, this is the real life. This came from Iran, the foreign minister. You can read it for yourself. So, right, like again, I say, like I don't know, people have short memories or some, but they have been doing this for a long time, right? Since the first telecommunication was made through the wire. So I don't know why this is news right now. So this happened, right? And I shall show you the chain, right? I'm just here to show you stuff. Urban, between a rock and a hard place. It's not about the camera, it's a software. Right? This is another convolutions that keep happening, right? Cameras have basically unlimited potential. It all becomes the issue of the software running on top of that. Right? Okay. So this is what happened. They have a whole hotline supposedly. President Trump has made a decision on striking Iran as the White House consults internally and with allies about the timing for such an operation and whether it would meaningfully destabilize the region, according to 5 U.S., Israeli, and Arab sources with knowledge of the situation. Again, this propaganda is running rampant, and it's just straight up laziness. That's what it is, laziness, right? You gotta have names, you gotta have faces, and tie those names to the faces and to the companies that supposedly are exploiting black Africans. I'm interested to know, please bring us that, not just speculations, right? The last thing I showed you pertaining to this matter, their faces were all scrubbed, right? Like that helps their cause for them to return home. What an interesting meme, you know? Remember a speech from Middle Nation, if I'm not mistaken, right? To how far people go, right? To belong, right? To feel like they're calling it a 25-year negotiation. Was it a negotiation? These are the promises that my guy here is giving out, you know? Immediately. They are here making Star Trek, right? And that's why they refused to enter a treaty on the banishment of so-called space weapons or space platforms. Me personally, I'm way past all of these state conversation. I know for a fact they do have so-called space weapons, right? Or weapons suspended in the sky to kill people. They've been doing it. Yeah, right? For those who are not following, right? Apparently there's a family conflict. Of course, right? You don't hear nothing about it when niggas get shot in the back. Right? I don't know what happened to the autonomy of basically the Palestinians, self-determination and all of that, right? All of that UN Charter conversation. Right? JP Morgan, right? We did cover JP Morgan recently, right? On their whole situation with Venezuela and the silver. You remember that quick little insert? So, right, they are still carrying out operation in the northwest, saying that they are going after Al-Qaeda operatives in Syria. The whole reason and purpose to destabilize the region. Full stop, not to fight nothing. Right? Yeah. You didn't learn nothing from Michael Jackson, didn't you? It's like the stupidity. Maybe the money is still good. Right? But again, short-sightedness. They're calling for an inquiry. Well, you do not want to kick that hornet's nest. Huh? Yeah. Look at this joke here. Well, this is not the first time this happened. Right? I remember in 2019 or 18, this thing happened. Right? The whole environment just turned pink. I remember the last incident, it was in a mountainous area. I don't remember which country specifically. Long time ago, as you can guess. So I don't know who is doing this, for what purpose, but we're gonna find out. Yeah. This is one way to starve Bill Gates, right? The corporate greed is, yeah. So, for those who did not catch, because of course there's been a tight controlling of information pertaining to this whole situation here. So, yeah, they were caught, right? They were caught for all that blood. Yeah. US halt calls, right? Of course, the US had to freaking interfere just hours after I uploaded the video. Tried to talk to the Turkish people over there to talk to the Kurds, right? And that didn't take long, right? That didn't take long. Yeah, this weirdo. I don't know, energy vampire or something, you know. Okay, if you say so. We're gonna see the reconstruction, right? This is all a game to these people. Now the Syrians have to take everything now. Because the SDF has proven itself to be a puppet of the US. And it's no longer about the Kurdish, don't get me wrong, right? For the little I know about the history over there, right? 80 years or so. There's a lot that the Syrian government has to do to protect the Kurds over there. That's obvious. But again, that does not excuse them being armed and launching operations towards each other. This is not acceptable in under circumstances. Right? Well, left eye here, and this man, they're back at it. A legend. Wow, how is the British Petroleum Company having toxic influence over the education system? Right? I don't know. How did the BP make its money? Maybe that's the toxic influence they're talking about. Everybody posturing, right? Because they have realized if we let this go on, we'll be doing this forever. So I shot speed went to Egypt, and as expected, he had a question about the noses, right? And these people had the nerve to say that the noses fell off because of erosion, because it was the weakest point in the statue. Yeah, the protruding thingy, right? But the bigger question is, what are the statues made of, right? Well, he didn't want to push, right? He wanted to be, pleasant, but he know that they were telling him BS, Yes, the US and Israel cannot accept blame. Says the person who is just pirating Russian ships, Okay. This was also flying around. These are the conversations that people are having now. Yeah, the system is gonna be fully undressed by the end of this. For people to see and choose, right? Do they wanna continue to be plugged in into the madness, or they wanna change their situation, right? So, overall, it's clear that the United States want to end the war tomorrow, and we want to end it today. We are both interested in this, and we understand the delay in the signing of ending the war is coming from Russia. Wow, says Zelensky. Denmark, Norway, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Finland. Italy is just asking to be added. Due and payable. Again, how do tariffs work? They want to purchase, right? The world peace is at stake. Do you hear that, Denmark? Right? The same excuses will be used for Canada. Believe me, right? There's a lot more that they desire in Canada than in Greenland, right? We'll get to that when we get to that. Let's just say that. Again, this framing that somehow Russia and China is behind this is almost funny. It's almost funny, right? It's almost funny. Just like that they've been saying, Putin and the elections in the US, it has been studied, it has been going on for long, right? Going on for too long, right? Again, when everything goes wrong, they take no responsibility. When it goes right, they claim responsibility and take credit. This is how it goes, optics and all. Firm. Okay, we shall see about that. So more and more things are coming out of this escape hole, and in the midst of that whole situation, we have NVIDIA. Okay. Yeah, Orban just come out here and giving people the truth, the truth that they don't want to hear, the inconvenient one. It's not preferable to speak like this, right? Russia must be defeated for world peace, right? The world peace is at stake. Cannot even make this up. So what? Are we meant to believe that this Reza person is the one responsible for this? Again, you should be listening to what I be telling you. Yeah? So they're still at it, right? They're still at it, right? That whole ordeal right? Until some hot bullets start flying, then they'll be starting paying attention, Maybe that's what they want here in Tanzania, right? Okay, we shall hear your response. So a lot happened yesterday. A lot. Okay? Nobody intends to. But your arm will be forced to take action because it is a responsibility to take action. Right? Regardless of the third parties that keep pretending like you didn't take the proper measures and stuff. Like, no, you did what you had to do. Right? And I do believe, honestly, that the apology of the Tanzanian president about the internet shutdown, right? You can apologize for some aspect that people lost money and all of this, but again, what is the price for our security? Right? That was a slight miscalculation. There's no appeasing these people. You have to... Maybe it will sink in one day. They just know it the hard way, not the easy way. They only know it the hard way. That's how they got everything they have right now. So why do they need to talk to you about nothing? They don't. Okay? Well, yeah, this is where we are now. Right? After they try to posture themselves for peace and, Yeah, this clown. Just here to share the news on those who can help. Well, this is what happens when you privatize your whole government. Right? This nonsense that I'm heavily against. Right? Heavily against. Look at this. The bills keep rising, and of course, they still want to bail out. This is a money instant money glitch. They are crucial infrastructure, so you cannot live without. This is what they have. We are waiting for that reconstruction, right? And how you're gonna keep these animals from violating you. Right? They came with guns, you came with a pen. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. We're gonna find out. This is real life. Right? They hit them where it hurts. Right? Maybe if it cost them, they would stop fighting for what is right. Do the same. Hit their money hard. So, is it a valid move in 2026? Yes. Right? The new iPhone coming up, for you who don't know, it won't need a base station or an antenna or whatnot, right? It would receive direct communication from satellites. Direct communication from satellites, right? And that's where we are, right? And if Apple has started it, then it's gonna continue like this, right? Again, governments are gonna be forced to privatize telecommunication, you know? Even here in Tanzania, right? I'm hearing now American companies, what was it? Sprint or something, advertising its services. Do you think the local companies can compete with such a giant? And what are the risks to our national security when it comes to the flow of information? Because informational warfare is real. And I'm afraid that most people are highly irresponsible with the information. They do not understand the consequence or the depth, for that matter. Of course, they have to lie, right? They have to lie because they are teeing you up for a punchline, right? But if you look at the statistics, yeah, China is producing more of those gas cars than the Europeans have, right? The Japanese and the Germans, they're all going down under, right? And the gas and the EVs, right? And for those who are, I shall cover something, right? Especially for Africa, right? That the international community has intentionally denied us the technology to refine, right? They have only left 2 countries and just 1 new country, part of the club, right? Those 2 countries that have been left, they are all Arab nations. Dangote, of course, is complaining. I have a clip of him, I shall show you. So EV can be a backup, a redundancy of some kind, right? Of course, the Malaysians saw themselves as, you know what, we're in the crosshairs or something. Yeah. So apparently there was mass bleeding and vomiting because of the sonic weapon deployed. Okay. Let's keep open up the Pandora box, they say. Of course, there are a lot of agents, right? Now this coward, just like the other coward we covered with calling the gang members to you remember that video, right? Calling the, I don't know, the Crips or the Bloods or some. They're still inconsistent on it, right? Calling on YNs to deal with ICE. Like, how? Are you joking right now? And these are elder men. believe it or not. And I also saw some Black Panther idiots saying, oh, you know what, we might just need automatic shotguns, you know, to combat ICE, you know. I say betrayal, right? I say betrayal because no niggas in their right mind be giving this advice out. Not now, not ever. Right? Another scandal pertaining to what happened yesterday. The media just walk out of the press interview, right, after the coach of Senegal came out in the press conference, right? They just booed him and left, right? Their feelings were hurt. Yeah, just questions, right? And the answer of these questions reveals the men of sin, the lawless ones. And of course, just icing on the case, a lot of talks, you know. He rode on this whole ordeal, you know. Remember those drones, those lights, right? And Trump coming out here with the tweets, right? Or the Truth Social, for that matter, right? Talking about they should come out and just say. And then when he became president, nothing. So apparently there is something.
I thought building a refinery like this is, supposed to be a pride for everybody. Because we're not the only country. Angola, they've been trying for 20 years. They are still trying. Uganda, they've been trying for the last 15 years. None of them. There is no production capacity in Africa. Only two countries are not importing, which is, Algeria and Libya. Apart from this, everybody is an importer. We cannot continue to be slaves while we export, raw material, then we import products.
These are real conversations, okay? Not social media hype or looking for views, not looking for likes and stuff. People need to put their heads together. This is ridiculous, right? We've been talking about oil for a long time. It's ridiculous. Right? Let's just be honest with each other. It's ridiculous, right? And the so-called effort to deny us this technology because some way or the other it affects some other country's bottom line is demonic and devilish, right? Because you are profiting from our pain. Like seriously. I'm gonna show a little bit of this one, right?
BCE, Greek soldier, javelin drawn, clearly melanated, not a servant, not a myth. Ivan Van Sertima wrote about this and they came before Columbus. Art doesn't lie. He's depicted mid-battle. This is Roman Greece, 2nd century CE. You can see his cornrows, his skin tone. This isn't a caricature. Scholars like Runoko Rashidi documented these across Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. The empire was melanated before it was mythological.
The original Greeks were all black. End of story!
Go fucking study it. This Etruscan bust? It's from 600 BCE. Looks like Isaac Hayes. The original Latin and Greek.
That hair looks familiar, like the Buddha statues. The truth has to come out. The truth has to come out. We are here because of these freaking lies, right? And pride. It's gonna be ridiculous, you know. At the end of the day, people are gonna be destroyed. Lives are gonna be ruined. And why? Because people rejected the truth.
Founders look like this. It ain't Afrocentrism, it's archaeology. Documented by Herodotus in the 5th century BCE. Ammon was an African deity from Libya and Egypt. Early Zeus cults merged with him before classical Greece. These statues weren't white marble originally, they were painted dark. But you'll still say, nah bro, Greeks were white. The mosaic has a PhD in pigment. What do you have?
This is what needs to be understood, right? The European inheritance, like 90% of it, theft from a very particular group, and it's not just the Europeans. It's the Arabs, it's the Asian countries. Theft. From who? The Africans. Okay, no indigenous or nothing. Africans. They were Africans. They knew where they came from.
A Wi-Fi signal and delusion. I'll cry. They think they started everything. Bro, relax. Evidence precedes ego. These mosaics weren't done in Photoshop. If that triggers you, maybe argue with the archaeology, not my vocal cords. Y'all scream AI every time you see Black antiquity. Denial is not scholarship. This is Peloponnesian ethnogenesis carved in stone, not Photoshop. Nonsense. Meanwhile, original Black God over here naming sources, showing receipts, building with substance. That's how this tech was meant to be used. Long before Euripides romanticized Medea, Peloponnesian dynasties were ruled by matrilineal power.
Look at that. Look at that. Right? The nerve. Right? The nerve. If you can lie with a straight face about matters like this, then you can lie about anything, as long as it protects your pride and your interests.
The sculpture, 5th century BCE, depicts a Moorish Corinthian queen. Corinthians, Ionian, Spartans, they descended from Canaanites, Hebrews, Danites after Jericho fell. That's in Golden Age of the Moor and early Phoenician migration records. These were Black Asiatic. Greece wasn't even officially formed until 1971. Before that, this land was a crossroads of African Asiatic cultures. The European Greek myth is younger than your grandma. 2nd century mosaic retains the physiognomy of an earlier cultural memory. Mycenaean warriors whose Afro-Asiatic heritage seeded Peloponnesian ethnogenesis. The continuity is clear. Zeus fragment, dated 5th century BCE, shows the Ammon horn. Early cults here merged Zeus with Ammon from Kemet. Herodotus wrote about this in history. Book 2. These statues were painted black. Melancholy. 80. The Etruscan Moorish physio, foundational to early Hellenism. The Peloponnesian ethnogenesis, Moorish aesthetics and ritual code. Denial is fucking laughable. Oh yeah, because it was Black Twitter that coined Aethiops, right? Not Herodotus, not Homer, not Pliny. These are Moorish Etruscans. Predating classical Greece, they established maritime governance.
This is the problem, right, for these proud individuals. Their admission would need them to explain, where are the melanated people? Where are they? Mostly in remote villages, underprivileged, forgotten. Their land stolen, oppressed. And it goes on, and people keep laughing and enjoying and thinking, you know what? We believe there's a creator, and we believe that he's just, and we believe, but nothing is going to happen to us. You know what? We are nice people. No, we are nice people. Okay, if you say so.
So, tell me today, what are you here today in Parliament?
Well, I'm here today in Parliament to represent the Windrush generation, and also to proclaim and declare that I, Lancelot, the real King of England, by blood.
These are your sins, Europeans. These are your sins. You cannot erase them. You cannot. You can do nothing to control the truth from coming out. You either love it and embrace it, or deny it and suffer the consequences. But the Moorish people who came from Africa and made all of these beautiful things that you are enjoying today in Europe, right? The ancient things, right? You just came in, subverted the kingdoms and took over, and the world has never known peace since then. Just death and destruction. That is what you did. Your parents, that's what your parents, your forefathers did. They stole everything.
By genealogy, by law, and
The thing is, you have to disprove that shit. You know, that's the reality, right? You have to say that we did not found Spain. We are not part of Russia. We are not part of China, right? We are not part of India. You have to deny all of that. And then what would that leave, right? Because if you want to embrace your origin, the truth, then embrace the truth. Don't be picky. Don't be choosy. right? Don't have a conspiracy, because this is what it seems to me as a melanated person. It's a conspiracy to wipe us out, right? You have erased our history, our heritage. You have taken over our lands and our history, and you have put yourself there, right? The Greeks, the Romans, we founded that. You came in, you killed a lot of people, and you took it over. And boom, the history book were written, right? To favor your narrative. It's a sad and painful truth, but it's a truth that you have to come to terms with. We as melanated people, and you as our brothers and sisters, because that's what you are. We are related. But there was a betrayal, a very deep betrayal that had severe damage to the people of this continent. Severe damage to our prosperity. You made us slaves, and you still are. Try to keep us down. Why? Because you don't want us to rise up to that same position that we had the first time we had contact.
Institution, because we're from the ancestral house of Wessex and Mercia, and we have right to the throne over King Charles, which is a foreign administrator. And
King Charles. Don't even recognize that. Just call him Charles. Okay? Fraudulent. And if he was fraudulent from the beginning, that is going to have consequences for us melanated people and for you, the subjects of this coward. Look at what they have done for the last 500 years. After they took the kingdom from us, what happened? They went around killing people over and over. We can't even count how many murders they have done. And they still continue to do. And they need you, and they're recruiting you to help them. Right? The kingdom of Denmark. You freaking cowards. That's why when you're going to be invaded, we are not going to say nothing. When everything bad happens to you, you're going to say nothing, because you have proven to us that you are not interested in the truth whatsoever. You're only interested in your interest. When your interests are touched, that's when you squeal and scream and come out here with grand statements. And, you know, today people tweet. You know, that's what they do. They tweet. The Moorish lineage still exists. Some of them are in America. Some of them are still in Europe. Some of them are in Africa. They still exist. You stole their heritage. You stole their wealth. Basically just chase them away, you know? Chase them away, you know? And of course, they pretend Judeans, those synagogue of Satan cowards over there, they have to chime in also, because they are part of that conspiracy. They are part of that conspiracy to divide the nation of the land of the Lord. They did.
which is a foreign house, it's not native to England, and a lot of people don't know, so we're under foreign government, and that's why it's affected all of those that are from the Winman generation. A lot of uneducated people that are representing us that are not doing the justice, and that's why when you see the footage, you know.
And if this is not corrected, you will never know peace. Believe me, you will never know peace.
Was convicted convicted and sent to jail for collecting and using rainwater on his own property, sued by the state for theft. Rancher Gary Harrington built 3 large reservoirs on his own land to collect rainwater and snow melt. He claimed the water was...
You are a godless people. Full stop. And this is what you get. This is what you get. Proclamations and stuff. This is insane. Right? If you come up here in Africa with this type of nonsense, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt.
Primarily for fire protection reserves and for providing water to wildlife. But the...
Listen, I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Scattered among the nations and parted my land. Does that start to click? And I have cast lots for my people, right? Down to our Messiah, right? You done cast lots for his garment. It's a tendency, you know. It's a tendency. Sold our girls for wine and all of this. And he asked you, yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your head? Because you have taken my silver, my gold, and have carried unto your temples my godly present things. The children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them from afar from their border. There were borders. The tribes were given. They were allocated. There was peace. Right? But habits and tendencies and whatever. And of course, it goes on. Behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye sold them, and I will tell them your recompense upon your own head. It will be paid for. Whatever you did to us, under all that slavery, it will be done to you. And that is what is happening right now. Why? Because you did not accept the sin of your forefathers, which have made you fat today. It's not you who have done it, but you have directly benefited. Do we need to make like a proper documentation of how colonialism has propped up Europe up to this point? It goes on. I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and I shall sell them to the Serbians, to the people far off. Why? Because you did the same to us. And of course, this is advice that is given to us, right? Because of our weakened position that we have, right? Not these individuals from a synagogue of Satan that keep lying to you and lying to you and lying to you and lying to you. Beat your plowshares into swords. Literally, our economy of Africa is dependent upon agriculture. We didn't have this war mentality. We never did. Now we are asked to beat our plowshares into swords. Why? Because you are coming. And what do we gotta do to you? We're gonna cut you with a sword and poke you with spears.
State called it theft and prosecuted Gary. A municipal code stipulates that all water within city limits, including precipitation, is part of the public water supply.
This is good.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly. so that when the history books write this, they don't write.
This is what I need you to do, right? First, admit it to yourself, and then start making people take accountability, right? And it seems that your leader are those Khazarians. Those are your leaders that put you together, congregate you together, so as you can come after us and take our heritage and put us in this predicament that we are finding ourselves, right? Our people are scattered all over the place. All over the place. Right? Into sugarcane plantations, into cotton plantations, into all type of nonsense that you made us go through. Now that same nonsense is happening to you. Look at the nerve of this man's here.
About the victims of Gaza.
History books, important. The same thing you did to us. You rewrote our history. You took us out of your history. Now they're going to take you out of history. Why? Because there's no repentance. So your sorrow is going to be doubled. That's the reality, brothers and sisters, right? I'm not I'm not the one.
Right? They can't.
They clapped. Now he realizes the mistake. You know why he realized the mistakes? Because in his normal conversations, not in front of the camera, he talks like this. Right? So it is normalized enough for him to feel like he can express this sentiment. And now he's realizing, okay, sheesh, I'm in front of a camera. I need to neutralize them. Look at the attempt. You know, it's like a child. This is one-on-one psychology right here.
I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's true.
Mm-hmm.
There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been.
That's how they neutralize the whole thing, right? So they compare the war in Gaza to the war everywhere else. Let's him continue.
But the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel.
Fictional. It's not a real state. Fraudulent. Just like the kingdom of England, the kingdom of Netherlands, the kingdom of Italy, the kingdom of Denmark, all of you. Jokes. And war is coming for you. Not that I want it, but it's coming for you. Because you seem not interested in rectifying the course of history. Like at all. You are not interested. You're just interested in narratives. Narratives. That's what you're going to leave for your children as part of the inheritance. And our book says at one point you're going to realize that, oh my, all our fathers gave us is just fraudulent history, made up. It's not true. All of the exploits of time and all of these things that we did, flies. Until that time comes, here we are. You know, I like movies, right?
Quickest way for Russia to penetrate our naval defenses is steaming from the Arctic to the North Atlantic. This is our military presence in the Arctic. These were Russia's Arctic military positions in 1995. Today, infantry, naval, radar, search and rescue, air defense, the biggest buildup since the Soviets fell.
How did the Soviets fall? That's another conversation for a later time. But they know it. But they're not going to tell you. Why? History revisionism. They got to do you dirty.
This is where we lost Russia's most sophisticated submarines in the North Atlantic for 3 weeks.
This is a movie, not a CIA briefing, right? But again, you can't even tell the difference, right?
This is where we found their Lasharic submarine, which we noticed only because it caught fire. We have no idea how many more there are, but we think they're around here, 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 and here.
You don't know where they are, but okay.
This is Cregan.
Listen now. Listen.
What Cregan is?
A nuclear submarine base in Scotland.
the UK's nuclear weaponry is housed at Cregan. It's what makes them one of the
Yeah,
9
Scotland too. You stole that from us.
nuclear powers. Also, it's the only base in Europe where we can dock our nuclear subs. It's the last place we have any hope of detecting a Russian sub before it's in the vast Atlantic barreling toward New York.
Oreshnik. Are we going to talk about that? Modern missiles that, you know, Poseidon. No? We're going to see why. The real reason, not to deter Russia. Listen.
Cregan is target 1 in the European theater of war. The Scots hate nukes, and they hate English overreach, but they really hate having a bullseye on their heads. If Scotland had gone independent, they would have closed the base.
So the Brits and the Scots conspired to kick the Negroids out, and they were double-crossed, and now here we are. Like she said, you're in the crosshairs.
In a second. When we took our forces out of Iceland, Russian sub-activity skyrocketed, as did air incursions. When we pulled our combat brigades from Europe, anyone? Russia annexed Crimea. Is there a universe in which the United States could afford to lose the base in Scotland? No.
Don't say they didn't say. Well, this man's life was destroyed, right? Because, of course, he felt like this world was just free, you know, where you could say anything that you want without paying a price. Brothers and sisters, there is a price. Okay?
If we deal with the terminology, right? I'm gonna just deal with Ashkenazi and Khazarian. Khazar, by definition, means a wanderer. So there is no Khazarian Jew on the planet who can claim Israel when, even by the etymological roots of their word, they call themselves wanderers. Now, Ashkenazi is Ashkenazi. Now, Ashka means beloved, and then you have Nazi. And Nazi is the combination of the word national and socialism.
That puts the whole situation in German into perspective. Doesn't it? A lot of double crossing, I guess, right? Just like how you did to our kings and chiefs. Just blatant double crossing. And you can sleep like a baby at night after doing that. You know, it's incredible, this skill.
So the word Ashkenazi means to be loved national socialism. So you have one handful of Jews over here who don't have a land by decree of their own title. Then you got another handful of European converted Jews who are secretly signing.
This conversion, this is what they do not want to talk about. Who converted them? Right? It goes back to the time of the Messiah. They adapted our faith, and then they colonized it and gave it the Judeo-Christian spin. That's what they did. That's what they did. The Roman Catholic is complicit. All the kingdoms of Europe are complicit. The Arabs are complicit. The Eastern Europeans are complicit. It's a disaster. Let's just say that. It's a disaster. What followed after that? Because there's a lot of double crossing. Right? There's a lot of double crossing. The Europeans have been fighting for years. The French, German, English.
And it's Nazis by etymological terminology. So once again,
yeah, it's called So Illuminati, right? Just another agent. I done seen the guy when he blew up in back in prior to 2019, 2018. He was very popular, you know. But of course, he mixed in, right? He lures in people with the truth and then hands them over New Age spiritualism, which is basically repackaged Jewish mysticism or Babylonian mysticism. No difference. Because there's a continuum here that people are not seeing.
Judaic religion is a Masonic falsified history used to falsely establish political legitimacy where there is none. And we deal with the terminology, right?
Did you catch that? Listen up.
You know about the object in Greenland? A couple of you, okay. Well, would you, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now.
They gotta pull out their best crutches, you know, the Russians and the Chinese.
All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchoring the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago.
I heard the Nazis ran off with their submarines over there.
It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. The people that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula, Great Pyramid, and Mitsubishi.
They just say that, you know, just out in the public, you know, just like white people have tendencies to build pyramids, you know, that's your thing, you know. Right?
It's up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of the dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85 foot people, full body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern, into the dampening field, when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it by testing.
It is not a freaking spacecraft. It's just a field where the magnetic field of the Earth inverts. Okay?
When you get to these guys, they were able to bring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth to 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So
I'm just what do they say? A reporter.
It's pretty important what this thing is.
So they gotta have Greenland for national security. You get it? Vigano. Vigano then come out. Talking about there's a conspiracy here. Whilst standing in front of a whole conspiracy by the same people that he's trying to I don't know, say that they are the bad dudes.
In the effort to debunk the famous Pizzagate affair. That is, the network, filthy complicity and horrendous crimes against minors that revolves around the international deep state. We have learned that certainly Jeffrey Epstein and most likely Ghislaine Maxwell were members.
Now, as I heard, Ghislaine was the mastermind.
Of the Israeli Mossad. This makes us understand that the famous trips of many well-known people to Epstein Island were used to blackmail them.
Okay, first and foremost, stop providing cover for these people. Right? They were not going there to be blackmailed. Okay, there is nothing exceptional about that island. Okay, the things that they could do there, they could do everywhere else in the mainland. Right? What they are covering up for is the rituals, the sex rituals. Right? And one Jeffrey Epstein survivor, they call them, came out and was very specific and detailed pertaining to the rituals that they were doing over there, right? Sex rituals, right? They were talking about when they were doing all of these activities when they were making business deals. You remember that conversation, right? It was very popular, right? But people did not take it serious, right? These people are using witchcraft, okay? Witchcraft. They do not go into that island to do only the things that the media pushes, to play with children and to be recorded, basically to be blackmailed and stuff, you know. No, that's just the surface of the thing. It runs deeper, right? People like all of these people who are connected to this whole ordeal, they are witches. They are witches. They practice magic and ritual magic, which sometimes involved maybe spitting of blood of a human, preferably a child, sometimes. That is what they're trying to keep you away from. Because how does a modern man even digest what I just said right now? Right? How? That's the problem, right? Even if they cannot even process and do anything about what is on the surface, what are they going to do about the things that are deep inside, the real reason why they went to do all of those rituals, right? These people are ritualistic. This is not just about pleasure and stuff. No, like, please do not fall for this nonsense here, right? The things that they did in the island, they could do it in New York, they could do it in California, they could do it in Kenya, they could do it in Nigeria, they could do it in Tanzania, anywhere, as they have, right? Just ask Erica Kirk. But anyway, I do not want to go on for long. I'm gonna put a pin on it right there, right? You need to digest and come to terms with what is happening in front of our eyes, right? And quit disbelief, right? Quit disbelief. What is happening is happening, right? And we have to go to the root cause. The root cause, right? What did the Ashkenazi tribe do to all of you other European tribes and Asian tribes and Arab tribes. What did they do? What did they teach you? That the world went so wrong that people have no spine whatsoever these days. So anyway, I'm saying this, why? Because I love y'all. I do not want to see y'all get destroyed. Just because you did not know the truth, nor did you preach it. Okay? So, yeah. Prince Easy, signing out. Love you. Bye.